Gather round, my frightful friends, and get ready for a scream. Ice cream, that is. Late August, a time for sharpened pencils, fresh notebooks, kids in school, and the promise of Halloween lurking just around the corner. This is truly one of my favorite times of the year.
You just want to flirt with the cigarette moms at the grocery store.
You gotta swing it every fall, idiot! Ah, yes. An innocent childhood delight turned into a frozen nightmare. Will our young heroes outwit Mr. Sweets, or will they be scooped up into his icy grasp? Buckle up, Super Horror family. This tale will chill you to the core. Let's let the icy screams begin! The air was light and free. A cool breeze fluttered through the night sky. A messenger of autumn, telling everyone to get ready. James and Alex sat at the worn-down picnic table of The Lookout. It was a hilltop clearing overlooking their small town, with the rickety table as its only furniture. It had been their meeting spot since middle school, a sanctuary, their hideaway from the world below. Judging by the initials and declarations of love carved into the wooden surface across the years, it was safe to say it was a special place for a lot of kids in Maplewood. Emily picked at the peeling green paint on the table and sighed. Hey, James, do you remember when you kissed Cindy here? Of course. She was my first kiss. Also your first fight. Boy, Tommy was angry. Alex chimed in. 8-year-old me thought I was gonna die. The way you jumped in, you were like a superhero, Alex. You would have been fine. Maybe. He broke my left arm. I remember thinking, crap, I might have gotten Cindy pregnant with that kiss, and now I'm gonna die, and my kid won't have a dad. After you saved me, I thought, good, if I die, Alex can be their dad. There's no way you were that dumb. Was? More like am. I still pay Cindy 2 Snickers bars a month in child support for our kid. James exhaled and looked over the town below, where the setting sun bathed the houses in a warm golden glow. It's like the end of an era or something. I'm gonna miss this place. Alex reclined with his hands behind his head, gazing into the sky as if searching for an escape route among the stars. Honestly, I can't wait to get out of here. I've waited a long time for a fresh start. Emily glanced at Alex, catching the edge in his voice. You're really eager to leave, huh? Anything you'll miss? Alex paused, lowering his gaze. My little brother and sister. Maybe you guys. Maybe the spot. But that's about it. I mean, what do I do? Everyone here knows me too well. I'll never get to kiss the girls like James does. James and Emily broke into a fit of laughter. Well, I'm gonna miss... Well, kissing the girls aside, I'll miss sledding with you guys when it snowed enough to cancel school. I'll miss you two making me laugh after giving, and I quote, the worst presentation Mr. Henderson had ever seen. Come on, Alex. There's gotta be something. What's your favorite memory? It's okay if we're not in it. Those days in elementary when they would give out ice cream sandwiches. That was pretty good. You mean when Miss Popkins caught you trying to double lift so you'd get an extra? No, after that. When she started sneaking me 2 at a time. She'd give me a quick wink, like we were secret friends. I knew it! I didn't lie. I just didn't inform you guys of my change in ice cream circumstance. It was just easier to have you guys think I was stealing them. She was sweet. And then, with the power of 2 ice cream sandwiches, I got to play with you guys on the playground so hard. Lucky for you, no one was testing tag participants for ice cream doping. Yeah. I'll miss that. Another cool breeze came by. Maybe to remind them of the hour. Or maybe just because it wanted to. Have you guys heard? Maplewood Elementary's being torn down. James suddenly announced, breaking up the momentary silence as he looked up from his phone. Emily sat up, eyes widening. I had no idea. Are they replacing it? I guess so. Making it bigger or something. There's gonna be a new building. Alex leaned forward, propping his elbows on the table. Well, that's kinda sad, isn't it? The place where I had my happiest memories. This town sucks. Emily looked up at James and Alex. What do you say we pay it one last visit? You know? For old time's sake. James grinned. I'm in. A chance to say a proper goodbye? That sounds nice. I'm in. 30 minutes later, under a moonless sky, the trio found themselves standing in front of Maplewood Elementary. The playground that once bustled with laughter and joy was now old and empty, the swing set creaking softly in the night air. Emily proudly walked up and pushed the door open. Surprisingly, it was unlocked. I didn't think it would open. Don't they know some psycho and his two best friends might decide to come around here to get one last sniff of chalk dust? Alex emphatically said. They probably figured they'd save you the cost of a brick. The word brick echoed through the halls. While not frightened, the group realized how small they were when compared to the size of the entire school. Much quieter, but still enthusiastic, they moved down the main hallway, armed with their cell phone flashlights. James stopped for a moment to look at the various awards and achievements framed in the trophy cases. Remember the spelling bee, Emily? You were a champ. I was ruthless. I only wish the last word was eviscerate. Emily giggled. As they continued, the flashlight beams danced across the halls, casting eerie, flickering shadows that made the familiar setting unsettling. They found their old classroom. The door open. Stepping inside, they took in the empty chairs, the worn-out chalkboard, the bulletin board with the remnants of last year's class projects. This is so surreal, Emily breathed out, running her fingers along the edge of a desk. Alex sat on one of the chairs, taking a deep breath, as if inhaling the years that had passed. It's all so small now. Yeah, we've grown, James said softly, peering out the window. Emily felt a lump forming in her throat. I wish we could go back, even if just for a moment. Do it all over again, make different choices, appreciate what we had when we had it. The room fell silent, each absorbed in their own reverie, not noticing the sudden drop in temperature, or the low creeping sound that started to drift in through the open window. Suddenly, the stillness of the room was interrupted by the distant but unmistakable sound of a vehicle approaching. James' eyes widened. Guys, do you hear that? What if it's the cops? We need to get out of here, Alex whispered. No, be cool. Maybe they'll just drive by. Then we can run straight for the car and leave. Emily stood frozen, heart pounding as they cautiously peeked out through the windows. To their surprise, it wasn't a police car, but an ice cream truck parked right in front of Maplewood Elementary. Is that Mr. Sweet's ice cream truck? Emily asked, her voice tinged with disbelief. Yeah, but what's it doing here at this hour? James questioned, equally puzzled. If there were any doubts, they were immediately put to rest when the ice cream truck's jingle began to play. The group exchanged glances before cautiously walking out to investigate. The truck was empty. Lights on, music playing, but empty just the same. Maybe the ice cream man is peeing in the woods. Oh, gross. The group turned around and peered into the surrounding woods. Guys, let's get back to the school. We can wait there until Mr. Sweets gets back! The group, scared half to death, spun around to see a sock puppet in the window, wearing a lopsided grin and googly eyes. Hello, kids! Long time no freeze! Want some ice cream? It's on the house. Mr. Sweets? Alex raised an eyebrow. You look different. The sock puppet giggled. I've always been this way, Alex, but boy have you grown. You look like someone added 2 scoops to your cone. How'd you like a double fudge dip? It was your favorite, wasn't it? Alex nodded, taken back by the puppet's memory. And James, you couldn't get enough rainbow sprinkles, could you? Here's a vanilla with rainbow sprinkles, and I put a scoop of just sprinkles at the bottom, just for you. And Emily, you tried so many flavors, but your favorite was always the strawberry swirl. Am I right? Am I right? Yeah, Emily replied, growing increasingly uneasy. How do you remember all of this? An ice cream man never forgets a face, or a flavor. Mr. Sweet started handing them their cones as he laughed. Alex did not accept the gift. James and Emily took a bite, the taste instantly filling their mouths. But something was off. The flavors were intense, almost too much so. Mr. Sweets turned his attention back to Alex. You know, I'm not supposed to do this, but... The sock puppet went out of sight and reappeared in the window holding 2 ice cream sandwiches. He gently placed them down, and as impossible as it sounds, he managed to wink one of his googly eyes. Alex was terrified by the spectacle and stepped back. As he did, James put a smile on. Thanks, Mr. Sweets. This is really strong. Try it, Alex. It's familiar but different. It's so good. Alex cautiously took the ice cream sandwiches, opened one, and bit into it. Just as James noted, the flavor was strong, but so good. Exciting. Incredible. That's right, Mr. Sweets replied. Strong enough to bring back memories. Or maybe even more. The sock puppet replied cryptically, its googly eyes seeming to stare into their souls. Is there something you guys want to do now? Do? Now? Emily was clearly confused. Yeah, like play a game? I know at least one of you now has the power of 2 ice cream sandwiches. Alex calmly replied, no, I'm good. Thanks. But inside he was terrified. Who was this guy? But, in a little while, you'll all go home, and then this moment will be gone forever. So, it'll be like every other moment that's ever been. Alex's fear was definitely beginning to show. But it doesn't have to be. This moment is different. I promise. Alex completely tuned out Mr. Sweets and was walking away when James spoke up. How is this moment different? Alex turned around to see James approaching the truck. Because I can make it so you guys don't have to go to college. You can stay here instead. Oh, thanks, Mr. Sweets. But either I have to go to college or pay rent. So... No, stay right here. You could live in the school and help me make ice cream. What do you say, guys? Emily playfully replied. Wow, as tempting as that is, Mr. Sweets, I think we're going to college instead. But if we ever want to run away and join the circus, we'll be sure to send you an application as well, Mr. Sweets. Oh, come on. Please. Please. You know what? Sure, it sounds great. We'll report bright and early tomorrow morning. James, Emily, and Alex began to turn away, feeling an increasing sense of unease. As they took a step, Mr. Sweet's cackle pierced the air. That's consent! They consented! The atmosphere changed in an instant. The truck's jingle twisted into a discordant melody, and from the shadows behind the ice cream truck emerged grotesque figures holding large, dripping ice cream scoops. Get 'em, scoopers! Emily's heart pounded in her chest. What's happening? Mr. Sweet's voice grew dark and sinister. That intense flavor you tasted was fear, my friends.
And I intend to scoop it out of you all, even if it's the last thing you taste!
Alex clenched his fist, the uneaten ice cream sandwich falling to the ground. This is insane. We have to get out of here. All at once, the trio's instincts kicked in, and they bolted back towards the school building, the cackling of Mr. Sweets and the ominous jangle of the truck's music chasing after them. Without a thought, they slammed the door behind them. But Maplewood Elementary was no sanctuary. The once familiar hallways were now a twisted, freezing labyrinth. A biting cold seeped into the air, making each breath feel like a gulp of icy water. As they rushed down the hallway, it seemed to elongate and warp, their footsteps echoing off the walls that closed in on them. "Quick, in here," Emily said, pointing at their old classroom. The words, "class presentations," now appearing in icy letters on the door's surface. As Emily pushed the door open, the room transformed. Suddenly she was her younger self, standing at the front of the classroom, marker in hand, and facing a whiteboard. The room was filled with the faces of their old classmates, but their eyes were vacant, their expressions twisted into macabre masks of anticipation. "Today's presentation is on," Emily's younger self began, but the words that came out of her mouth were a jumble of incomprehensible syllables, laced with an eerie tone that seemed to reverberate through the room. As she spoke, the whiteboard behind her began to display disturbing, surreal images that shifted and morphed like a nightmare-given form. The air in the room grew heavier, as if some unspeakable danger was about to be unleashed. "Emily, we have to go now," Alex shouted, snapping her back to the present. Grabbing her arms, they pulled her out of the room just as the whiteboard seemed to crack, as if it was ready to unleash whatever evil force was inside of it. They slammed the door behind themselves and continued to run, hearts pounding, until they burst into another classroom. This time it was James who was transformed. He was his younger self, and outside, back at the lookout table, cornered by a menacing figure. Tommy. Tommy's fists were raised, but they were no longer just fists. They were like oversized fleshy sledgehammers. James looked up at Tommy terrified when Emily cried out for him and pulled him back into the hallway. Just as Tommy swung down his monstrous mallets, missing James by mere inches and smashing the green table into splinters. The three of them were now gasping for air in the hallway. "We can't keep running into the rooms. We need to hide. We're Mr. Sweets and the Scoopers." "Come back, kids! Don't be scared. I have some nice ice for sale."
Only 10 cents a pail.
"He's getting closer. Come on, we don't need a good room. We just need one we can hide in." Frantically, the three of them rushed through the icy labyrinth of hallways, finally diving into a classroom that seemed almost normal, until the door closed behind them. The room then morphed, its walls becoming walls of a home, but not just any home. It was Alex's childhood home. Alex found himself transformed into a young child, staring up at the towering figure of his father. The atmosphere was stifling, thick with tension and a cloud from his dad's chain smoking. His father's presence was overpowering. He appeared to cast shadows in every direction at the same time. When James and Emily tried to speak, they were immediately transformed into children too. They began shouting for Alex, but were unable to get his attention. Not only were they so small compared to his dad, neither of them were able to make a sound. No matter how hard they yelled, even though their mouths moved, no sound came out. Paralyzed by fear, Alex felt a warmth spread down his legs. He'd peed himself. This only seemed to fuel his father's rage, which somehow led him to becoming even bigger and scarier. The room seemed to close in around them, each object now pulsating with the same darkness that seemed to be controlling Alex's father. Emily, still voiceless but determined, darted to Alex's side. She grabbed him with all of her strength. Clearly, she was just as scared as he was. James, also unable to speak, but fueled by the same courage, ran forward, widened his stance, and positioned his left arm to hopefully block or absorb whatever blow was coming his way. Alex's father either didn't notice or didn't care about these new obstacles. He rolled up his belt, preparing to strike not only his son, but anyone within reach. As he drew back his arm, his body continued to grow, shaking the entire room and resonating through the school. Feeling the tremble of the building, Alex untucked his head from Emily's arm and saw what was about to happen. Trembling and pale as a ghost, he ran forward, reached up, and grabbed his father's belt. At that same instant, James and Emily joined in, their small hands wrapping around the belt alongside Alex's. For a moment, time seemed to freeze. Then Alex's father unleashed a howl of frustration and rage, growing even larger. His movements now shook not only the room, but the entire school. He whipped his arm. The belt whistled through the air, but because he'd grown so big, instead of striking them, it collided with the ceiling. There was a moment of tense stillness before the ceiling could no longer bear the strain and collapsed in a shower of plaster and debris. Alex's father disintegrated into the chaos, and the trio clustered together, disappearing in the falling debris. In what felt like only a few moments, Emily, James, and Alex found themselves outside of Maplewood Elementary. The golden light of the rising sun washed over them, their faces smeared with the remnants of ice cream. James and Emily looked at each other, then at the school, and finally back at each other again. "What the hell was that?" James asked out loud. I don't know. But after last night, I think I'm okay with them tearing down the school. A bigger, better school sounds like a good idea. We should check back on construction when we're back for Christmas break." Alex, a little distant, seemed lost in his thoughts. "You know, guys, I've been thinking. I'm not going away to college. I need to stay here." The words hung in the air. "But all you've wanted forever was to leave." Alex smiled. "I think I want something better now. Last night, you both looked like you could have been my younger siblings. Made me realize this is something my mom would have wanted me to take care of. Besides, Maplewood Community College has an auto tech program. I'm set. I'll stop by later before taking off, just to make sure. If something crazy's going on, offer me 2 ice cream sandwiches." James's offer got a smile out of Alex. "Sounds good." As they prepared to leave, James glanced at his watch, and Emily began rummaging in her pocket for her car keys, her thoughts already drifting to the looming transition to college life. Alex looked at them both, then took a deep breath, preparing himself for the challenges at home that were waiting for him. Just then, a distant jingle broke through the morning calm, sending a collective shiver down their spines. The haunting melody of a Mr. Sweet's ice cream truck reverberated in the air. Emily's hand froze in her pocket as she felt something that definitely was not her keys. Pulling it out, she found an ice cream stick, branded with the Mr. Sweet's logo.
Well, there you have it, my spooky horror family. The icy clutches of Mr. Sweets couldn't hold our young heroes, but the chill of their tale will linger long into the night. But before we say our ghostly goodbyes, let me remind each and every one of you of how incredibly special and important you are. This bone-chilling adventure would be nothing without the warmth of our super horror family. You all bring the real magic to these eerie evenings. And after that story, maybe the next time you're in the frozen aisle, you'll reach for the peas. Because sometimes embracing the penis of life is the only way to avoid getting creamed!